Amelia clutched her chamomile tea, feeling the warmth seep through the ceramic and into her hands. It was a small comfort, a ritual she had come to cherish over the years. The steam rose gently, curling in the air like a delicate dance, warming her face and filling her senses with the soothing aroma of chamomile. The steam warming her face, she closed her eyes for a moment, letting the tranquility wash over her. Outside, the rain lashed against the windows of her cozy apartment, creating a rhythmic symphony that she found oddly comforting. It was a typical Thursday evening, one that mirrored countless others in her life. Rain lashed against the windows of her cozy apartment, a typical Thursday evening. She was a creature of habit, a simple life lived within the lines: work, groceries, and the occasional movie night with friends. Her days were predictable, her routines unchanging. She found solace in the familiarity, in the knowledge that each day would unfold much like the last. The occasional movie night with friends was a welcome break from her solitude, a chance to laugh and share stories. Yet, even in the company of others, she often found herself retreating into her thoughts, savoring the quiet moments in between conversations. Nothing remarkable, and that was how she preferred it. Amelia cherished her solitude. Silence was her companion, nothing remarkable, and that was how she preferred it. Amelia cherished her solitude. Silence was her companion. Broken only by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner, she relished the calm predictability of her life. Little did she know the serenity was about to shatter, replaced by a chilling dread that would seep into her very core. Broken only by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner, she relished the calm predictability of her life. Little did she know, the serenity was about to shatter, replaced by a chilling dread that would seep into her very core. The storm that was brewing outside was nothing compared to the tempest that was about to enter her life. It would come without warning, a sudden and violent disruption to her carefully maintained peace, replaced by a chilling dread that would seep into her very core. The storm that was brewing outside was nothing compared to the tempest that was about to enter her life. It would come without warning, a sudden and violent disruption to her carefully maintained peace. As she sat there, unaware of the impending chaos, she took another sip of her tea, savoring the moment of calm. It was the calm before the storm, a fleeting peace that would soon be a distant memory. The phone on her nightstand buzzed, a jarring interruption to the symphony of the rain. Amelia glanced at the unknown number, a shiver crawling down her spine. Hesitantly she answered, "Hello?" A raspy voice, faint and distant, sent chills down her spine. "Amelia, it's me." The voice. It couldn't be. Her heart pounded against her ribs. It was a voice from her past, a voice she thought she'd never hear again. The voice of her deceased grandmother. The calls persisted, each more unsettling than the last. Her grandmother's voice, laced with an eerie urgency, spoke of a darkness that surrounded Amelia. Secrets whispered from beyond the grave, dark truths hinting at a sinister undercurrent to her seemingly ordinary life. Amelia tried to rationalize the calls, to attribute them to grief, stress, anything but the impossible. Yet the specificity of the details, the intimate knowledge of her life, it was too real, too unnerving to dismiss. With each chilling conversation, fragments of a hidden past were revealed. Her grandmother's cryptic messages hinted at a family secret, a truth buried deep, concealed for generations, a truth that someone, somehow, desperately wanted to remain hidden. Fear morphed into an insatiable curiosity. Driven by the unknown, Amelia delved into her family history, unearthing long-forgotten documents, faded photographs, and whispers of a tragic incident in her family's past. A past deliberately erased. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by a gnawing paranoia. The line between reality and nightmare blurred. The calls escalated, the voice growing stronger, more insistent, demanding Amelia uncover the truth. Her once organized life lay in shambles, her days consumed by the mystery that haunted her waking hours and invaded her dreams. Was she teetering on the precipice of madness, or was the impossible true? Were the calls truly from beyond the grave, or was something far more sinister at play? Driven to the brink, Amelia decided to confront her fear. She dialed the number, her hand trembling. The familiar raspy voice answered, sending shivers down her spine. "You wanted the truth, Amelia. Come to the old family house. It's time you face the darkness that binds us." The line went dead. Fear warred with a strange sense of duty. She knew deep within her gut that this was the only way to silence the calls, to end the torment that consumed her. The old house loomed before her, a specter against the stormy sky. It had been abandoned since her grandmother's death, shrouded in an unsettling stillness. Amelia stepped inside, each creak of the floorboards echoing like a scream in the silence. A chill permeated the air, a palpable presence that sent goosebumps erupting on her skin. And then she saw it. The old rotary phone on the dusty table, the receiver off the hook. As she reached for it, a figure materialized from the shadows. It wasn't her grandmother. The voice on the other end of the line, the one she had trusted and confided in, was a complete stranger. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks, leaving her breathless and disoriented. Standing before her was a stranger, a man with eyes filled with a chilling familiarity. His presence was both unsettling and oddly comforting, as if she had known him all her life without ever meeting him. The room seemed to close in around her as she tried to make sense of the situation. He introduced himself as her uncle, her grandmother's estranged son, a man she never knew existed. His voice was calm, almost soothing, but the words he spoke were anything but. He told her stories of a past she had never heard, of family secrets buried deep and long forgotten. He explained that he had been the one making the calls, using a voice modulator to mimic his mother's. The device had allowed him to weave a web of lies, to manipulate her emotions and gain her trust. It was a cruel trick, one that left her feeling violated and betrayed. He revealed the horrific truth. His mother had planned to reveal his existence, to rewrite her will, to right the wrong of abandoning him. The revelation was like a knife to the heart, cutting deep and leaving a wound that would never fully heal. She could see the pain in his eyes, the years of hurt and resentment that had built up inside him. But she died before she could. The old woman had passed away, taking her secrets to the grave and leaving behind a legacy of confusion and heartache. Her death had set off a chain of events that none of them could have predicted, a series of revelations that would change their lives forever. But she died before she could. The funeral had been a somber affair, filled with whispered conversations and unanswered questions. Amelia had stood by the grave, feeling a mix of sorrow and anger, mourning not just the loss of her grandmother, but the loss of the truth she would never know. He believed Amelia held the key to his inheritance, to the life he had been denied. The documents he showed her were filled with legal jargon and complicated clauses, but the message was clear. She was the missing piece of the puzzle, the one who could unlock the door to his past and his future, to his rightful place in the family. His determination was palpable, a burning desire to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. Amelia could see the desperation in his eyes, the longing for acceptance and belonging. It was a chilling revelation, one that left her questioning everything she thought she knew about her family and herself. Amelia stood frozen as the weight of the revelation crashed over her. The room seemed to close in around her, the air thick with the gravity of what she had just uncovered. Her mind raced, piecing together fragments of memories and half-forgotten conversations. Each revelation was like a dagger, cutting deeper into her soul. She had always sensed something was off, a shadow lurking just beyond her understanding, but she had never imagined it would be this. It wasn't the supernatural, but a deeply human darkness that had haunted her. The kind of darkness that hides behind familiar faces and comforting words. It was the realization that the monsters she feared were not from another world, but from her own bloodline. This darkness had been a constant presence, a silent observer of her every move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Her uncle's desperation, his greed, had driven him to prey on her fear, to manipulate her from beyond the grave. He had always been a figure of authority, someone she looked up to, trusted. But now, she saw him for what he truly was, a man consumed by his own desires, willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve his goals. His voice, once a source of comfort, now echoed in her mind like a sinister chant. He lunged, Amelia screamed. The sound was raw, primal, a manifestation of all the fear and betrayal she felt. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. The room was a blur of motion and sound, her senses overwhelmed by the intensity of the confrontation. She could feel his breath, hot and rancid as he closed in on her, his eyes wild with a mix of rage and desperation. The storm raged outside, swallowing the sound. Thunder roared and lightning illuminated the room in brief, blinding flashes. The wind howled, shaking the very foundations of the house. It was as if nature itself was responding to the chaos within, a mirror to the turmoil in Amelia's heart. The storm was relentless, a force of nature that seemed determined to drown out her cries for help. The house stood silent, the secrets it held echoing within its walls. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind through the cracks, seemed to carry the weight of untold stories. It was a place steeped in history, a witness to generations of joy and sorrow, love and betrayal, and now it was the stage for Amelia's own tragic tale, a silent observer to her struggle. The phone lay on the floor, its dial tone a haunting reminder of the calls that would forever bind them. Each ring was a ghostly echo, a reminder of the conversations that had led to this moment. The phone, once a lifeline, now felt like a chain, binding her to a past she desperately wanted to escape. It was a symbol of the connection she could never sever, a link to the darkness that had shaped her life.